Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining me. I can see that my hair is all messed up. My name is Willaerts, and today I'd like to talk to you about the Metaverse. So what I do is I'm an old school tech blogger from Belgium. I also teach and learn about anything digital culture, digital business, digital marketing. And in the course of these trainings, I also teach about online events. And it's kind of hard to talk about how 2020 changed the nature of events as a whole, and how this was an opportunity for many people to experiment with the boundaries of online events. But in the process of trying out all sorts of different ways, both as a speaker at conferences and as a teacher, I learned a lot. So what I will share with you today is a couple of my best practices for hybrid events, because I think hybrid events are the future. And then, of course, me being a geek, I'm fascinated with the concept of the metaverse, a concept that has been around for quite a while now, but now for the first time in history, it's actually happening. So I'm looking at the chat. So if anyone has a question or a remark, my presenting style is rather intense. So I can imagine that some of you have questions or remarks. I will also upload a PDF of these slides to my LinkedIn profile, Willaerts. So if you would like to connect there, I'll be happy to meet you there. Now, avatars in the metaverse, the future of online events. So this is from a recent poll by a digital marketing publication, and it was from last week. So they asked about 100 respondents all over Europe, asked them a simple question: when is the last time you attended an in-person business conference or event? And in the red of this pie chart, obviously, 85% said not in the past year. The fact that we are all here at the virtual version of this conference kind of proves the point. A small minority have met people in person business conferences. So it's like 4% in the past month, 3% in the past 6 months. So it's like almost, from a statistical point of view, almost irrelevant. But the thing is that a lot of the events, both in B2B and B2C, are being pushed to the second half of this year. So when the same organization asked their respondents, when will you be next? When will you be willing to attend an in-person business conference or event? You see that the results are a lot more nuanced. The slice in red is interesting. 10% say, I don't want to attend in-person business conferences in the next year. And all the others say, yes, I am actually willing to attend an in-person business conference or event. So in the green are the ones that say, I want to do this in the next month, in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months. And then in yellow are the people, about 30%, who would say, yeah, I would like to attend in business person events in the next 12 months. On the other hand, if I can be completely honest with you, I'm pretty comfortable with being a keynote speaker this way. I can do it from the comfort of my own home, of course, but let me know in the chat what your thoughts are. But I'm not specifically eager to organize events with a large audience or to attend them. The whole idea of networking at business events, for example, makes me a little uncomfortable. But this is a very personal point of view. So I know that you are from all over Europe. It also depends on whether you're vaccinated. I am not yet. So this is probably an important factor. Also, taking an airplane to a conference location. Ask me again in 3 months. I will probably have changed my mind about that by then. But for now, 100% online it's not ideal, but I kind of feel comfortable in it. So now I have been experimenting with hybrid events. For example, when I organize a training at Karel de Grote College in Antwerp, in Belgium, where I live. And whenever I have to teach, I do this in a hybrid way. It's kind of a weird setup, but there is a physical space where I teach, which is a nice open space. We open the windows, and then about there are 25 students of this course, and about 5 of them are there physically because they want to. They wear their mask, they wash their hands, they keep a distance, they sit pretty spaced out in the classroom. And what I do is that we use Zoom. So the majority of the students are watching live via Zoom. And it took me a while to find out, but I share my slides in Zoom. And then on screen, on 2 big screens in this physical room, I project the Zoom screen, if you get what I mean. Now, because we use Zoom, I can download a video of this course afterwards, and then I cut it into little small, easy to digest videos, upload them in a Facebook social learning group. And this is what I mean with hybrid. Hybrid, not just online and in real life, but also students can determine for themselves if they want to participate live or afterwards on demand, or both. So hybrid goes in time and in space. If you want to join the course in real time, you have 2 possibilities. You go physically to Antwerp, or you attend the Zoom call, so to speak. If you want to attend at a different time, it is online only, but I kind of make the best out of this video format because nobody wants to watch a 1.5 hour video. So I put them up in this Facebook group. It's a social learning group, so it's organized in guides, and they can just pick up any of the videos by subject, by topic, whatever they want to learn, or both. You can be in the classroom and then only 6 months later you realize, damn, I really want to rehearse this particular part of that particular topic, and then you go back to the videos. And I think that this is really interesting. Same goes for the conference like this one. You could do the same, and then maybe have a selection of these recorded videos that you cut up in little easy to digest short pieces. Some of those short pieces can go public, and even people who are not ticket holders can then watch some of that content. Again, not a video of 1.5 hours or 45 minutes of someone talking, but stuff that is being uploaded natively to Facebook, to LinkedIn, and to YouTube for the purpose of promoting next year's conference, for example, or if it is uploaded by the speaker themselves for the purpose of positioning themselves as the thought leader in some field. So hybrid events, for me, is not just a buzzword. I think whatever happens in the next 5 years, this is what events will look like. But there've been a number of events in where I live in Belgium that were quite interesting. One of them is a theater play by a company called Skagen, and so they had a second season. This started before the pandemic. So Emmy and Leo are the names of a young couple. They're lovers, and so before COVID, you were part of the audience, but not just alone when you were physically in the theater and watching the play on stage. Before and after, you were part of a specific WhatsApp group of friends of Emmy and Leo, and all the drama that goes along with young lovers. You were already part of that through WhatsApp. So there were photos being posted, messages. Lots of emojis, for example. So this is a cool way of looking at what exactly a theater performance is. It's not necessarily just the part where you physically sit in the audience and watch what's going on stage. Now then the pandemic happened, obviously, and I got interested. I wasn't able to buy a ticket for the first season, So when they had a second season, I think that was in April or June last year, I saw some news passing by. I said, yeah, I really want to buy tickets because it went completely online for the second season. And I read about it in the evening, and I thought to myself, made a mental note, and said, I'm going to book that ticket first thing tomorrow morning. And I was too late. It was already sold out a couple of hours later. So this is an interesting concept. And when you look at large platforms and marketplaces for events like Eventbrite, for example, fairly soon, I think it was May or June last year, Eventbrite started offering more and more online events, and the selection of the catalog of online events became the default on the homepage. And maybe there were some of you who did the same thing, but I was obsessed with all of these free webinars and other online events, and I found them through Eventbrite because Eventbrite is not the only place, the only marketplace for events, but it's one of the oldest. It's a trusted brand, so I kind of like how Eventbrite picked up the ball when everything started happening, and even today, Eventbrite.com online events is really really interesting to see how many people, including people in the B2B sphere or professionals who want to put themselves out on the market, who want to use free webinars as a market tactic to get new customers. Eventbrite is a good place to get to know these. And then there's Airbnb. It was just amazing. This company in 2020 went through so many. I was going to say highs and lows, but there were only lows for Airbnb. When the pandemic hit, obviously, a lot of people canceled their bookings with Airbnb and demanded their money back. Now, this was a big issue for the hosts because not only did the hosts realize by June that they were going to have a very bad year financially, they would not be able to earn a little extra money on the side through renting out their apartment through Airbnb. They also had to refund all of these people who had been canceling, and Airbnb stepped in and created a fund so that the people who were canceling could be repaid. Um, Airbnb had to fire, I don't know, like almost 2,000 people, employers of Airbnb. Then they had this IPO. It was really an incredible year. Now, in the midst of all this, Airbnb launches online events, and the original idea was that hosts who would combine renting out their property with some sort of workshop, for example, a workshop where you could, I don't know, learn from a real cobbler in the Netherlands how to make wooden shoes, or a music workshop, cooking workshop. So they were the first ones in this online catalog, this catalog of online events. And the hosts who were organizing these online events would use the same Airbnb software as a service for booking, ticketing, the whole administration part behind it. And most of these events, they cost like $15, $30 for some of them. You can book tickets for a whole group, and others are one-on-one. And one of the things that I bought was, for example, a local guide in Chernobyl, who would walk around in Chernobyl and then give you an explanation of the things you can see there. That, to me, that was like that was just amazing. You know, I highly recommend going to Airbnb online events, and then maybe if you want to use a safe and well-known platform to arrange for the payments, or to look for inspiration from creators from all over the world, you'll find it in Airbnb. And even in industries that are, you know, fairly stuck to their ways, like the fashion industry, there were some interesting things. And now we're getting close to my main topic, the metaverse. Balenciaga, so the fashion brand, their new fashion show, fall 2021, took place in a virtual environment, and this technology has been around for quite a while now. But I like the way they looked at it. So you can virtually walk around as if you're walking around in a game, because gamers are used to this kind of environments where you walk around in a building, look around the corners. And what I liked was that you could walk up to a model who would not move a lot, so that they would have like a few movements, but you could walk around this model and you can bend down and look up and then get closer and in detail. So if you were really interested in this bright red scarf that this model is wearing, I can get up close and take my time to look at this particular detail, which is, I think, impossible with a real fashion show. And if I remember well, they didn't develop this virtual world just for the fashion show. They just did it in an existing gaming environment, and the fashion models themselves were present as an avatar. An avatar is an interesting concept. It's actually, the term originates from Sanskrit writings. I don't know, maybe from the 7th or 8th century. So an avatar is a representation of your identity in a different environment. So sometimes it is translated as the soul, but I see it as an identity that represents you in a different environment. And gamers, again, were the first ones to use computers and the internet to create avatars that were them in the game. Uh, yeah, we probably, I'm 51 years old, so I remember playing Pac-Man, and in Pac-Man, you are Pac-Man, right? So you are the one on screen. So if you decide to go left or to go up, it's the little Pac-Man that does this. This is a very early example of an avatar inside the game. But the more games became yeah, the whole technology behind it and the quality of the graphics, the images, the 3D technology, the artificial intelligence used in it, the more complex these avatars could become. And the metaverse itself, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful concept. Was mentioned for the first time in a science fiction novel that was published in 1992. So that's like ages ago, right? And before the internet and as we know it. And Neil Stevenson, science fiction author, in his novel Snow Crash, talks about this concept, this virtual world that he calls the metaverse, and it's like an alternate reality that exists in digital space. And it's not a fake. It's not a. I don't like the word virtual really, because that implies that it's not real. It's just an alternate reality. And even before knowing what the internet would become like, remember this was 1992, the concept of metaverse, where you as a it doesn't use the word avatar, but you would be represented in this virtual world, and there all sorts of interactions take place. You can have conversations there, you can create stuff there. So exactly what the internet was built for and what it is still used for right now. So I mentioned gaming a number of times, and this is something. This is the industry where the innovation happens when it comes to hybrid events, and this has been going on. The whole gaming development. We get better hardware, like the graphic cards. Computers become more powerful, um, and a lot of these games have some sort of metaverse, and some of the popular games are multi-platform. So that's fascinating. I mean, if you look at something like Fortnite, you can enter the Fortnite digital environment from all sorts of devices. You don't really, you can of course, but you don't really need like a classic PC gaming setup. You can join with a Nintendo or an Xbox or anything, and still meet each other in the same metaverse. That's a mind-blowing concept. There's this whole Fortnite world out there, and people are gaming there, but some of them are on computers and others are on their smartphone. And they are from all over in the world, and in real time they are interacting with each other. So this is exactly the gaming industry where innovation is happening, and all of this on top of this 90s technology, the internet. And a lot of these games, all you need is a browser. You don't need particular software. You just need a browser and a good internet connection. And speaking of Fortnite, it's not the only one. It's not the first one that organized virtual events. But let's just pick the first one. Yes, Fortnite, where Lil Nas X would perform. If you look at the numbers, very often they perform in front of a lot more people than they would be able to in the physical world. So in May last year, 350 million people used Fortnite as were active in this metaverse. So 350 million people, that's like a world in its own, you know. That's like a little planet that exists. The same goes for Minecraft, even though for someone outsiders, when you look at Minecraft, it looks like a very primitive environment. Everything is very, yeah, it's like pixelated, very blocky. It's not as sophisticated from a visual point of view as the other games are, and yet another small planet inhabits the Minecraft universe. There's Among Us, there's Roblox, very popular with small children. If you wonder where your children hang out, well, 150 million of planet Earth children hang out in Roblox. So this is, like I said, they're cross-platform games. From a technical point of view, this is indistinguishable from Magic. The fact that you can use a PlayStation 5, an Xbox, an older PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, or a regular PC, and still meet each other in this metaverse is just wow. Now, for geeks like me, that's like. So if you look at virtual events, Travis Scott famously had a few live shows in Fortnite in April last year, and this is from a tweet. Someone just actually had a look at the numbers. So Travis Scott had a physical world tour in 2018, 2019. He did 58 light shows. He was on the road for over 4 months. He was able to perform to a total of 850,000 fans, and the whole concert tour had a gross income of let me see, $64 million. So enter 2020, Travis Scott does 4 virtual shows in Fortnite, so he didn't have to leave his home. He could, I don't know, I wasn't present there, but probably he could do it from his living room. 4 shows, which means from his point of view, 1 weekend of work. He didn't have to travel, he didn't have to go out. He reached, with these 4 virtual shows, he reached 28 million fans compared to 850,000 the year before, and it grossed $20 million. So as Dan Runkle, who wrote this tweet, said, I doubt he does another 50+ city tour. So from the artist's point of view, this is really interesting. And the thing about Fortnite is, again, that the audience is also present in the same digital environment where the artist is represented as a digital avatar. And Fortnite is basically, the typical game where you use weapons and you try to eliminate an enemy. But there's a specific area in Fortnite where weapons and violence are not allowed. And this area is called Party Royale Island. And this is the permanent virtual event space in Fortnite, where, for example, concerts like the ones by Lil Nas X or Travis Scott's are taking place. And for an outsider, you will look at these weird computer generated characters, avatars that kind of dance to the music. But if just imagine that, I have a very compact HDMI projector, and it is able to project a very good image, high quality, from my smartphone if I want to, onto an empty wall. So I can have a little party on my own and maybe have like one or two friends with me who are part of my bubble and still have a party, if you know what I mean, on Party Royale Island in Fortnite. Disney is another interesting organization to follow, because obviously Disney with their amusement parks were in a lot of trouble themselves, and at the same time Disney Plus, which is comparable to Netflix, so to speak, took off immediately during the pandemic. So amusement parks go down, Disney Plus goes up. So what does this mean for the future of Disney parks? Well, to them, the difference between Disney Plus and the Disney parks will become very blurry. If when, not if, when we will be able to go to Disney parks again, it will be a lot clearer how all this content and all these characters, for example, Toy Story and the others, uh, they will not always be physically there in the physical park. The fact that all of this content is already digitized for Disney Plus, plus all sorts of new technologies they're playing with, will mean that people who physically go to a Disney amusement park will also experience hybrid um, versions of the Disney experience. I know it sounds a little futuristic, but this is being built as we speak right now. And I'm not sure if you saw this little dancing Groot robot. It was very impressive, I think, because it was a tiny little robot that was able to maintain eye contact in a very convincing way. So why are they building these little robots for Disney parks? Obviously, just another way how everything that was supposed to be science fiction and digital, etc., um, the content, like this little Groot guy, can interact with the visitors of a Disney park in completely different ways now. So these are interesting times. And also very recently, in the past 2 or 3 weeks, I could see that Google Maps is stepping up to the game as well. And so now you can have a Google Maps live view. So, well, there's many more to say, many more things to say about Google Maps, but basically you can now hold up your camera in Google Maps live view, and there will be information kind of superimposed on what your camera is seeing, like in this particular example, directions. Now, when I see that the type of emails that Google sends to Google creators like me, what they really want you to do is to add user-generated content on top of Google Maps. So instead of just uploading pictures of food and writing 4 or 5 star reviews of restaurants, which I already do, now Google Maps would also like me to be a local guide and upload user-generated content created by me to be combined in Google Maps live view. So when you're walking around, you can see extra user-generated content from local guys, but also at the same time, you can use the same technology to virtually walk around in a neighborhood somewhere on the other side of the planet, and there will be other extra information superimposed on this interface, this Google Maps, Google Street View, Google Earth, that was added by local guides. This is fascinating. And the idea of Google is also that they want to use this platform to bring an end to traffic jams. They're already doing that with Waze, but also to have an impact on carbon emissions. It's really weird, but I have a feeling that Google is telling me right now to not travel and instead experience other locations on Earth through this interface. And this interface is, like I said, a mix of all sorts of things that Google already has, but also content that is created by people who live there. Now, it's accelerating in the past 6 months, the past 6 years, but let's not forget that this whole idea of a metaverse and avatars is decades old. What you see here on the slide is me in 2006. I'm on the left hand side. On the right hand side, the lady is a journalist from local TV station here in Belgium, and she was interviewing me in Second Life. 2006. It sounds like a different life right now. And Second Life is still around. It's still there. But I think that sometimes we forget how incredibly groundbreaking Second Life was. For me, I'm not a gamer. I try not to be, because I think I would be just completely absorbed by it and do nothing else in my life but gaming. But Second Life, I have fond memories. And a lot of people learned in Second Life what it was like to meet other people and to interact with them as an avatar with avatars. So Second Life is I think the mother of all metaverses. And if you look at virtual reality, where you are inside a world of its own, right now creating an avatar for example, particular games has become a business in itself. You don't just, there was a time where you could pick from 8 bodies and 12 faces, and then and that was it basically. You could change the color of your eyes, and it was very limited. So this time is over. If you look at companies like Ready Player Me, the nuance, the features, the possibilities that it brings to create your own avatar. It doesn't even have to look like you. Whatever works for you, right? And people buy clothes not for them but for their avatar to express themselves as they want to be seen in some metaverse. And what I'm literally waiting for is that you can bring these avatars along in different metaverses. So I have an Oculus, and when I'm playing ping pong, my identity is something completely different than when I'm playing a game in Oculus. And then when I'm in the hallway, I am again another avatar. I have to create it time and time again when I'm doing different activities in Facebook's version of the metaverse. What I want to change is that I can create one avatar, one digital version of me, and this same digital version of me would be my representation in Oculus, in Fortnite, in Second Life, basically everywhere. And the whole idea, the business of helping people create very realistically looking avatars is booming right now. So another organization builds a service on top of the engine that runs Fortnite. Basically, it's an Epic Unreal engine, and if you look at this image, it almost looks like a real guy. So it's evolving really fast. Goes along. I mean, it's not just 8 bodies and 5 eye colors. You can be really creative. If you want to toy around with this, face swap is one of those artificial intelligence technologies where you can use deepfake technology with an app on your smartphone, and Reface AI. There you can pick existing scenes and memes and then kind of put your own face to it. So this is like a very low access version of the technology that is right now being used to help people create avatars. And there are virtual influencers right now who do not have a real life identity. They have only one identity, and that is the avatar, that is the digital identity. Little Michaela is one example of that. So her job is to, she's a model, so she models clothing. And if you look at her Instagram account, for example, little Michaela is being paid by like real world money, is being paid to show particular new collections of clothing. And she's also active. She makes videos. I mean, she does everything that a modern day influencer does, except that she doesn't exist. I mean, she does exist as an avatar, but there is no real person of flesh and blood. She will send, her agent will send you invoices though, so that's real enough. And this is reminds me of one of the games I did used to play, where you could, your face would change and would become bloody and beaten up if you were performing badly in the game. But generated photos is a URL of a website, a company, a service where you can generate realistically looking faces based on a number of parameters that you put in. And the thing is not green or brown eyes. There's a whole slider that allows you to put a lot of nuance in there. And so this face is from Cortana. I'm not sure if you remember Cortana. She was a character in a Microsoft game called Halo. And so there was a time when Microsoft also had a Siri or an Alexa, and they picked Cortana, so an existing character from their gaming environment. Unfortunately, Microsoft stopped the development of Cortana. So she is not the alternative for Siri, although I liked her. And so, but let's just look at Siri. So Siri doesn't have a face right now. She could have a face. I mean, Cortana had a face. There were videos of Cortana. She could interact with you. Why wouldn't Siri be a avatar where you can have a conversation with? Why wouldn't Siri be visible to you if you put up your Oculus goggles? I'm saying Siri. That could be Alexa. Could be Google Assistant. It doesn't matter. So why not have this? Why shouldn't your virtual assistant have an avatar? Why shouldn't your virtual assistant have a virtual body, a virtual personality? It is 100% possible right now. The technology is already there. So I think it's a missed opportunity for Microsoft and Cortana, that they didn't further take this character. I would rather speak to Cortana than I do to Siri, because I still think that Siri is, yeah, she's rather stupid, isn't she? So the future of all of this hybrid events, the metaverse, the impact of artificial intelligence is of course real-time personalized content that is being created for you. This is from a Forbes article. So Netflix, as you know, Netflix series are based on data. So if they know that a particular actress is very popular, they will write her into a new script. If they know that true crime is possible, they will create a format on that. So House of Cards was one of the first original productions for Netflix that was actually based on data that Netflix had on what people enjoy watching. Now, what do people enjoy watching? And in many cases, they have strong preferences. Sometimes they want to see people like them, regular people like them. Other times they want to watch things of people who they would like to be, people who are more successful or more beautiful than them. It doesn't really matter what you enjoy watching. Netflix knows. And now one production is being broadcasted through the Netflix platform. But if you combine all the information that I just shared with you, Netflix has everything in house to create personal series or movies just for you. with exactly the type of actors in there that you enjoy watching most, with a script that is just literally made for you. If remember these avatar industry, if it has become so easy to create virtual characters that behave in a 3D virtual environment, why not make this personalized movie for you specifically? And you would pay for this gladly, I think. Wouldn't you want to pay like 50 euros to watch your sequel to Bridgerton on Netflix? So there is money in there, and this includes business events as well, and conferences. There are already some that still look a bit clunky, but there are already some environments that are built just for conferences like this. We're using one of these, and sometimes these environments look exactly like a metaverse, where you will have virtual environments, and both speakers and the audience are represented as avatars. So we still have time for Q&A. Let me have this is yeah, there we are. There are no questions yet. This is your cue. If you have any remarks about this, do let me know. At the end of the day, events 2000 years ago, 200 years ago, 20 years ago, 2 years ago, were all about offering a valuable experience to an audience, and that hasn't changed. Even if my dream comes true and all events will be hybrid in time and hybrid in space, it's still all about the experience. And if the experience isn't valuable to your audience, they will be very reluctant to come back to your event. All right, Q&A. Anyone here who would like to remark something, has a question, would like to tell me something? Am I just dreaming? Is this all a fantasy? Or will we, as I predicted, see some of this new type of virtual hybrid events in the next few months? What do you guys think? Let me know. And if there's anything you would like to add and you just want to think it over a little bit, I am sharing my email in the chat right now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Here we are. That's my email address. So unless there's anything else, thank you for watching. And I'm looking forward to meeting each other again somewhere in the metaverse. Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching. Looking forward to your feedback. There's some polls. Mentions, chat. All right.